I want to welcome you to AccountEdge Pro 2023. So what's the story with this release? We focused on our existing customers in three specific areas, making AccountEdge easier to upgrade, and we'll go through some of those steps. Making it easier to use based on a lot of feedback we receive from customers just like you, and making it easier to manage. So let's go through some of those features in AccountEdge itself. We've made numerous customer requested features to make AccountEdge easier to use. Let me walk you through some of those. First, in the bank register, you'll notice that we put a new column in to show you if a transaction was reconciled. When creating a sales transaction, when you bring up the Item Select From list, you'll now notice that that window is actually resizable, making it easier to read if you have long item numbers or item descriptions. When using the Activity Select From list, you'll also notice that that window is also resizable. When using the Activity Select From list, you'll also notice that that window is resizable as well, and we added advanced search onto that window, so you can search for your activities based on the activity ID, name, or description. If you use a system preference to include items and activities on item and time billing invoices, you'll notice a couple of additional changes there as well. So now when the Select From list opens, you'll notice we have a new column showing you activities and items, and you'll be able to define which ones are which. You'll also be able to resize this window, and you can create a new activity or a new item directly from this list. We've made importing and exporting easier to use also. You'll notice that we consolidated the menus for both importing and exporting, and we added some changes for auto build. Now you can select to import your auto build items and import your transactions that have auto build. You can also go to export data, transactions, and export your auto build transactions from there. You'll also notice when you go to export a file, we've changed the name of the files just to make it easier to find on your computer. So here I'm going to select my inventory to export, and you'll notice that the file names have been consolidated and made easier to read as well. We added two new preferences. You'll find them in the Preferences Windows tab. The first one is when using the Look For options and Select From lists, automatically select list entry while typing. So that's a mouthful. Let me show you how it works. We'll come into our transaction window, we'll say Enter a Sale, and we'll hit Tab to bring up our Select From list. And you'll notice we have a couple of customers that start with HAR. So as soon as I start typing HAR, it'll take the first one and fill it into my transaction window. But maybe I don't want it to work that way. So if I uncheck that box, come back, and now we'll do a transaction again. And we'll type in HAR. Now it goes to the first HAR in the list, and I can select whichever one I'd like. And then I can use that card and continue on. Another preference in the Windows tab we added is the Tab key will move the keyboard focus between text boxes and lists only. Let me show you what that means. So let's go ahead and create a sales transaction for Acme Sales. And you'll notice as I tab through the fields, it actually goes to every element in the window. So you may not want to tab through all of those specific things. So that's what this checkbox allows you to do in our system preferences. So now I'll check it, and the tabs now move the keyboard focus between text boxes and lists only. So if I come back and create a new transaction, now you'll notice that I'm not going to be able to tab to things like the calendar and the send to web pay. It'll only go to data fields. A couple other things we've added, including being able to do Command W on your Mac to close an existing window. We also added the Recents list to AccountEdge Network Edition. We've improved the performance of scrolling in list windows. And if you're using AccountEdge Network Edition, we've also given you the ability to auto-refresh lists using File Connect. And finally, we've made numerous changes making AccountEdge easier to manage. Let's take a look at the first one. If you click on the little looking glass in the command center or the magnifying glass, you'll bring up your AccountEdge Pro folder. In here you'll see an AccountEdge log. We've now made this log available, so if you ever need to work with tech support, this will give them vital information about your system. Oftentimes customers don't even know where their file's located, so this will give us a good idea how to get started helping you using AccountEdge. The next change we made was user requested was to add the promise date onto forms. So if I select to print or email my forms, then we'll take a look at one of our forms and we'll customize it. And then we'll click on the plus to add a field. And here we'll just do a search for promise. Now you'll see that the promise date is available and you can put it on each page of your form. We've also made changes to our balance sheet report so they're reflective as of a date and time. And we've also added the middle initial to your card file. So if we look at that employee card, you'll notice that we now have a middle initial. If you're using AccountEdge Network Edition, we have a File Connect browser that'll make it easier to find servers on your local network. So a lot of these changes were smaller, all of them were user requested in order to make AccountEdge easier to upgrade, easier to use, and easier to manage. Our goal is to continually add more small features like this to make AccountEdge work better for you. We hope you found something that'll help you make it easier to use and easier to manage AccountEdge 2023. Be sure to check our other video on how to upgrade, which you'll find on our YouTube channel.